The idea of playing in the NFL is a dream for millions of kids around the world. The prospect of being one of the greats, making millions of dollars, people chanting your name, cementing a legacy in a sport that practically owns a day of the week. Except there's more to life than money, fame, and football. One man had all these things, but decided to throw it all away to defend his country and fight for what he believed in. In honor of those who lost their lives defending this country, and of those on September 11th, let's put Pat Tillman in the Carearview mirror. Patrick Daniel Tillman Jr. was born on November 6, 1976, in Fremont, California, to Mary and Patrick Tillman. He attended Leland High School, where he played football and baseball his freshman year until turning his full attention to the gridiron come his sophomore season. He played running back, safety, and kick returner, leading his school to a CIF Central Coast Section Championship in 1993. ESPN's Tim Layden wrote a piece on him, telling the story of when Tillman's coach pulled all the starters at halftime of a playoff blowout. Tillman didn't want to stop playing so bad he received the second half kickoff and took it back for a touchdown. His coach had to physically take his helmet and shoulder pads to prevent his superstar from getting back out there on the field. He finished his senior year with 10.9 yards per rush and 25.7 yards per catch. After receiving offers from BYU and San Jose State, he became the final recruit at Arizona State to play linebacker for the Sun Devils. His first season, he played mostly on special teams, but did have some reps in the secondary, where he recorded 10 tackles, and on his first ever snap of his career on defense, he sacked California Golden Bears quarterback Dave Barr. In 1995, he was a top reserve linebacker for the Sun Devils, where he recorded 47 total tackles. He began showing the signs of his greatness with a season opener versus Washington, where he collected 5 tackles, 2 for loss of 7 yards, and a quarterback sack. Following this season, he earned second-team all-conference honors and an honorable mention for his academics along with his play. After only having a single start under his belt over his first 2 seasons, Tillman started all 11 games of the season. There's not much I can find on his total stats for this season, but he did record his first collegiate interception versus Oregon and a pick-6 in a win over Boise State. Arizona State went 11-0 in the regular season, including a win over number 1 overall Nebraska, where Tillman only had 2 tackles and a fumble recovery, but his job was to keep Amon Green contained on pinch plays, which paid off with the win. Their national championship quest ended with a loss to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl on a David Boston receiving touchdown with 19 seconds left. That season, Tillman earned all Pac-10 second team. Pat played his final season at Arizona State in 1997, where he led the team in tackles with 93 and added 15 for loss, 4 sacks, and 3 interceptions. His play helped guide the Sun Devils to their second straight bowl game, which was the first time in school history in which they did so. With a win over Iowa 17-7, Tillman was given a ton of awards, all of which would be on screen now. Most prestigious was his second-team All-American nod, Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year, and Arizona State MVP. Academically, Tillman was able to graduate after 3.5 years with a GPA of 3.86 in marketing. Leading up to the draft, Tillman was seen as a tweener player. Standing at 5'11" and weighing in at 204 pounds, he wouldn't be able to play linebacker as he did during his time in college. Scouts wouldn't get an extra look at Pat as he wasn't invited to the NFL Combine. He participated in ASU's Pro Day and got a private workout with the Arizona Cardinals defensive backs coach afterwards. This workout is a compelling story that I implore you to read. I'll leave a link in the description, but it really shows how dedicated Pat was to the game of football, and by the end of the workout, he was peppered in red marks all over his body from trying to make plays on balls and drills. After waiting on a couch in San Jose during the draft, with some help with former teammate Jake Plumer and Cardinals head coach Vince Tobin, Tillman was selected in the 7th round of the entry draft at the 226th pick, keeping him in the desert where he begins his football legend. Announced as a DB on his draft card, which solidifies Pat's move to either nickel linebacker or safety. In his rookie year, Tillman started 10 games at free safety, recording 73 combined tackles and a sack before being benched due to poor play and pass coverage. Despite his individual struggles that season, the Cardinals went 9-7. This was their first winning season in 14 years, and they even won their wildcard game versus the Dallas Cowboys until being bounced by the Minnesota Vikings in the following round. The next season, he played in a backup role for the Cardinals, but developed into a special teams ace, leading that unit in tackles with 20 on special team snaps. He came down with 2 interceptions that season. His first career pick came against the New York Giants and quarterback Kerry Collins. That season, the Cardinals dropped to 6-10, but Tillman was able to rack up 52 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 passes defended, and a fumble recovery. At the start of the 2000 NFL season, Tommy Bennett was injured and allowed Tillman to slide in at starting strong safety. Through 16 games, the Cardinals went 3-13, which would typically be a terrible season for everyone in the organization, except for Patrick. He ended the year with an insane 155 tackles, 4 for loss, an interception, 9 pass breakups, 2 fumbles forced, and recovered 1 fumble, and has a half sack. This individual effort placed Tillman on ESPN's All-Pro team as the first team safety. Before his highly anticipated age 25 season could begin, an event would occur that would shake Pat's life as well as the entire country. September 11th, 2001, 4 American jets were hijacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists who piloted 2 planes into the World Trade Center and 1 into the Pentagon. The passengers on the 4th plane were able to storm the cabin and overpower the hijackers, briefly downing the plane into a field in Pennsylvania. Nearly 3,000 died that day, and the U.S. was thrust into a war with Afghanistan, as many citizens vowed revenge for those murdered on that day. With that tragedy fresh in the public's mind, the NFL games would open up with a long silence and a large flag display over the entire field in solemn memory of those who lost their lives. Attempting to get back to football in this video is just as hard as it was emotionally for the National Football League found trying to get back on focusing on football that season. That season, Tillman started 12 games as he missed weeks 4 through 7 with a sprained ankle. Despite his setback, he finished the campaign with 94 tackles, 1 for loss, 2 passes defended, and a forced fumble as the Cardinals finished 7-9. During the offseason, following that tough outing for Tillman and Arizona, Pat married his wife Marie in May of 2002. Following his honeymoon in Bora Bora, he returned home, and spurred on by his passion for his country due to the attacks on 9/11, he turned down a 3-year, $3.6 million contract from Arizona to enlist in the U.S. military. He and his brother Kevin enlisted in September of 2002, and Pat participated in the initial invasion of Iraq. During September of 2003, both Tillman brothers entered Ranger School at Fort Benning in Georgia, which they graduated from in late November that year. Pat was then deployed to Afghanistan and based at Forward Operations Base Salerno. On April 22, 2004, Army Ranger Pat Tillman was killed in the line of duty. He was fatally shot 3 times in the head. Tillman was awarded the Silver Star, Purple Heart, and a posthumous promotion to the rank of corporal. Following his funeral back home with his family, the details of his death began to surface. The military allegedly claimed Pat was killed by enemy fire, but after an investigation it was concluded he was killed by friendly fire. The Criminal Investigation Command released a statement on March 19, 2007, which detailed how Tillman's death occurred. To summarize the CID statement, Pat Tillman's company had broke apart into 2 platoons as a Humvee broke down and forced them to split into 2 groups. Pat's group passed through a canyon with no incident, but as a second platoon attempted to, and an Al-Qaeda ambush occurred on the group. Tillman's group heard the firefight and attempted to gain an advantageous position to provide assistance to the second platoon currently fighting. Despite attempting to signal a friendly position, soldiers in the first vehicle of the second platoon opened fire on Tillman's group, fatally wounding him. Following his death, wife Marie became executive director and chairman board of the Pat Tillman Foundation, an organization made by the friends and family of the Star Safety to keep his legacy intact as someone who pushed for positive change in the world. I will leave a link to donate to the foundation in the description. In addition to that, he was honored by many other people and organizations. A highway pass by the Hoover Dam was named in his honor. Lincoln Law School of San Jose established a Pat Tillman Scholarship in honor of him as his father went to school there. In Week 2 of the 04-05 NFL season, the entire NFL wore a memorial decal on their helmets. The Cardinals continued to wear the decal for the rest of that season. Jake Plumer, his quarterback at both Arizona State and on the Cardinals, was denied wearing it the entire year since he played for the Broncos, and it wasn't uniform with the rest of the team. Instead, Plumer grew out his hair and beard to match Tillman look during his NFL career. The Cardinals have retired his jersey number 40, and the Arizona State Sun Devils retired the number 42 he wore during his time there. Additionally, the Cardinals named the plaza outside of State Farm Stadium after him and unveiled a bronze statue in his honor during a game versus the Cowboys in 2006. His high school has named their stadium to honor Tillman. The Pac-10 Conference renamed their Defensive MVP award to Pat Tillman Defensive Player of the Year award. And the Ohio State linebacker corps, which consisted of A.J. Hawk, Bobby Carpenter, and Anthony Schegel, grew out their hair in tribute to Tillman along with center Nick Mangold. There are many more honors I haven't mentioned, but trust me, there's so much more. Pat Tillman was a burgeoning star in the NFL, collecting a career total of 374 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 3 interceptions. However, these numbers aren't what defined his life. He stared in the face of fame and millions of dollars to fight what he believed in for this country and what he loved. His bravery and sacrifice has been honored countless times and should continue to be honored for the rest of time. Rest in peace, Pat.